afternoon. Good afternoon, my YouTube family. Good afternoon, Clubhouse. I see you, Carol. Thank you for joining me. You know what time it is, YouTube? It is 5 o'clock here on the East Coast, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Keeping Up with Congress. Keeping Up with Congress. If you are following me right here on YouTube, if you are following me on YouTube, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notifications, and share, family, share. Hit that ping button, Carol. I know you're new to Clubhouse. Ping some folks into the room. We are here. We are here. It is a rainy day here in Georgia. It's raining around the southern part of these United States, but that's okay. We need the rain. So let's dive in. You know, I always like to bring you at the top of the hour. I like to bring you a little bit of reparations information. So let's dive in. This article is from New Jersey. From New Jersey, y'all. From New Jersey. This is about schools. It says reports suggest reparations to fix New Jersey school funding inequities. It says reports suggest that reparations to fix New Jersey school funding inequities. But we know that, y'all, reparations cannot be paid. We say it over and over again. Reparations is federal. Reparations is federal. You cannot address the repair, the harm, the magnitude of the repair, the harm with the state budget. So using that word reparations is so out of context. But let's read the article. It says, school funding in New Jersey remains unequal despite 4 decades of efforts to address the effects of segregation, according to a new report that argues for reparations, including direct rebates to Black and Hispanic households. And we understand that reparations is for the descendants of chattel slavery. This is where they get it absolutely wrong when they say Black. They say African American, minority, people of color, all these ambiguous terms that will, that's not specific. Hey, family, I see you. That's not specific. So this report speaks to the Black and Hispanic households for reparations in New Jersey. It says the report by New Jersey Policy Perspective says the reasons many minority students don't receive the resources they need to have an equal education opportunity are rooted in systemic discrimination and racism, such as housing practices known as redlining and blockbusting that continue to echo. It says, despite extra state aid to city schools, overall property taxes that include other services mean Black and Hispanic communities still pay higher tax rates to make up for home values depressed by years of the discriminatory practices. So it talks about the Black tax and the Latinx tax. So you can't put that in the same sentence with reparations, y'all. That's the attempt with this article. I see you, family. Thank you for joining me over in the Clubhouse space. I see you, YouTube. I see you, Don. Thank you for joining me. Goes on to say this article says co-author Bruce Baker, a professor at Rutgers University Graduate School of Education, called those higher rates a Black tax and a Latina tax. It says the report estimates those taxes to amount to 0.67% and 0.44%, respectively. We argue that we could be remedied by direct payments to offset that tax margin that is paid in excess by Black and Latina homeowners. So, yeah, you can't put reparations in the same sentence with Black and Latina. That doesn't go together. Another article I found talks about an apology. It says, how should a group apologize to people they harmed? It says a new study investigates which components of an apology foster forgiveness and reconciliation between groups. In this article, it says, when you harmed another person, a sincere apology can go a long way toward helping them to forgive you and move on. It says science suggests that acknowledging wrongdoing and promising to make amends can help relationships recover from past hurts. And that's really where I start with this article, because that's about the most, I felt like I wanted to hear about this apology. I understand that some people may want an apology for slavery and Jim Crow and black codes and convict leasing and no New Deal and no GI Bill and redlining and war on drugs and mass incarcerations. But damn, you apologize for one and it just adds up to something else you've done to us. So I don't think an apology, honestly, for me would ever be enough. So, they can apologize, but cut the check. Ultimately, reparations, you're going to have to cut the check. So they can apologize, but honestly, it just doesn't go a long way with me at all. Like I said, when we start combing through all the systemic injustices, all the atrocities that have happened to those of us who are Black in this country, descendants of chattel slavery, I don't think that you can apologize enough. So cut the check. Show me how sorry you really are. Here's another article I went down the rabbit hole today with reparations, because you saw for the last couple of weeks, I was telling you that there was nothing in the news. And I was encouraging those of us who are active to stay loud, because the media wasn't picking up anything in the last 2 weeks specific to reparations. So we can never be quiet. I was thinking about today, how long will I continue to do Keeping Up with Congress? I look back at my notes. I keep really good notes, y'all. I'm pretty detailed and pretty organized. So I started this January the 14th. So I've been doing Keeping Up with Congress now since January. We're into September. So I'm really considering that when we get to November, I'd like to be at a certain place with these bills. But I think that is where I'm going to conclude the Keeping Up with Congress this in November, because those last 6 weeks of this year, we gotta be prepared for January. So I'm going to be very much intentional about that time, those last 6 weeks. So I believe that I'm gonna conclude Keeping Up with Congress mid-November, because at that point we would have given this from January until November. And I told you the reason why I started doing Keeping Up with Congress is so that we would know the players and we would know the game. Like, I did not want us to go to Congress and not know who these congresspersons were, who these people are, and how they are, what they're introducing. Like, we needed to really understand the landscape. So be mindful. I'm telling you early that mid-November will be the end of Keeping Up with Congress, because we got to be prepared that last 6 weeks for January, because we got to hit the ground running. So let's dive in. This last article that I read today was Cambridge. This is in Massachusetts. Cambridge City Council to explore reparations for slavery, restitution for war on drugs. And it was funny to me, like, y'all, war on drugs, you went from slavery to war on drugs. I'm sure there was some systemic injustices and atrocities between slavery and the war on drugs. But nevertheless, this is the city council in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It says the Cambridge City Council unanimously passed 2 policy orders to provide restitution to Cambridge residents impacted by the war on drugs, and to explore a reparations pilot program to address slavery and racial discrimination. It says co-sponsored by Denise Simmons, Patricia M. Patty Nolan, who was 80, Quentin Y. Zondervan. These orders will use tax revenue from cannabis sales to help redress the historic injustices that still affect Black and Brown, here's where they get it wrong again, Black and Brown residents today, according to the orders. It has not yet been determined what percentage of cannabis sales will go towards these programs. It says, along the passing of this legislation on Monday, the council voted to establish a racial and justice equity commission. It's a committee of housing, education, and economic opportunity experts, among others, to help carry out the aims set forth by the policy initiatives. Says, though Nolan said she was very excited to begin reparations work at the local level, she maintained that true reparations must come from the federal government. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, that she recognizes that true reparations must come from the federal government. Says, it is past time to discuss reparations, and I really hope our city can be a leader in these discussions around the country and show the way for others. This is Nolan. It says, Cambridge does have a legacy of benefiting from slavery right through to adhering to these federal policies in the 1950s. So they recognize that this is bigger than what they're able to do, but we'll take it. We'll take it. It says the restitution and reparations policy orders were introduced separately to highlight the war on drugs and slavery as separate but related issues. According to Zondervan, it says both policy orders request that City Manager Louise D. Pasquale deliver a progress report on October the 4th to remain on track with launching the program in July of 2022. Says, while Councilor Mark C. McGovern said he believed passing the orders was absolutely the right thing to do, he acknowledged that anything that involves race will lead to difficult conversations. So I will say I appreciate all the initiatives. We have a bill here in Georgia, HB 541, that addresses the impact of slavery on the descendants of slavery here in Georgia. So I appreciate every initiative, but we understand that reparations is federal and has to be handled via the federal government, right? This is Congress's job, or Biden. Well, I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Y'all, let's dive into these bills. But before we do, y'all, if you have not gone to my website, please go check out my fundraisers page. Fun fundraisers. So I have on this page some cool swag, y'all, some campaign swag, jackets, t-shirts, mugs, all kinds of neat bags, just all kinds of cool stuff. Go to the fundraisers page. I have a Polish and Politics, y'all, where I'm committed to making this journey to the United States Senate fun, y'all. Fun. All kinds of neat stuff on my website. Come ride with me. If you're local here to Georgia, I am going to learn to be masterful at horseback riding. I took my first stab at this last month when I turned 49. So I'm going to do this again, y'all. So I am working on the date. So stay tuned. Again, the fundraisers page on my website, Tamara for Georgia. All righty. So let's dive in. We got to catch up on these Senate bills. So today I focused all of the rest of this time. I'll come over to the clubhouse space in just a little bit, in about 15 minutes. But I wanted to focus this quarter of the hour on Senate bills. We need to catch up on the Senate side. We've gotten past 1,000 bills in the House, but I want us to get past 1,000 bills in the Senate. So I'm gonna spend a lot more time on these Senate bills over the next month and a half, 2 months. All right, y'all. Senate Bill 611. Senate Bill 611 is the VOCA fix to sustain the Crime Victims Fund Act of 2021. This is Richard Durbin, Senator Richard Durbin. He's a Democrat out of the state of Illinois. It says this bill adds a new source of revenue for the Crime Victims Fund and makes changes to formula grants sponsored by the fund. It says specifically, the bill directs revenues collected from deferred prosecution and non-prosecution agreements to be deposited into the Crime Victims Fund. It says currently such revenues are deposited into the general fund of the Treasury. And we know that most of the time, y'all, anything that goes into the general fund is discretionary money. Like they decide what they want to do with it. I found that out here in Georgia, that monies that were that should have been going to the state board of cosmetology on a bill that we were working on, that should have been going to the board itself. That money was being deposited into the state's general fund and used at their damn discretion. So yeah, whenever I see general fund, whenever you see general fund, yeah, that's slush money. They do what they want with it. So this is asking and them to take these funds and deposit them into the crime victims fund account specifically. So this is Democrat Senator Richard Durbin out of Illinois. Senate Bill 612. Senate Bill 612 is Senator Rob Portman. He's a Republican out of Ohio. Improving Housing Outcomes for Veterans Act of 2021. Improving Housing Outcomes for Veterans Act of 2021. I looked this bill up. It says this bill is to ensure the Department of Veterans Affairs is providing needed care for veterans experiencing homelessness. It says this legislation follows a May 2020 Government Accountability Office report, which found shortcomings in the VA's Veteran Health Administration, whose homeless program office administers programs to support veterans experiencing homelessness. So they found some shortcomings there, shortcomings in the VA. Senate Bill 612. Senate Bill 613. Senate Bill 613 is the PAWS, PAWS, PAWS for Veterans Therapy Act. Senate Bill 613. It says this, and PAWS stands for Puppies Assisting Wounded Service Members for Veterans Therapy Act, or the PAWS Act. I think I'm in the matrix over in Clubhouse, y'all. I hope it'll clear up shortly. Hopefully you can hear me. I don't know, this internet's been a little choppy today. I hope you can hear me. It says this bill implements a program and a policy related to service dog therapy for veterans. It says specifically, the bill requires the Department of Veteran Affairs to implement a 5-year pilot program to assess the effectiveness of addressing post-deployment mental health and post-traumatic stress disorder through a method where veterans train service dogs for veterans with disabilities. So this is the PAWS for Veterans Therapy Act. Senator Tillis, 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 Republican out of North Carolina. Senate Bill 614. Senate Bill 614 is the Transportation Alternatives Enhancement Act. This is Senator Cardin, Benjamin Cardin. He's a Democrat out of Maryland. Where is my text? There it is. It says this Transportation Alternative Enhancement Act uses federal funds for important local infrastructure projects that reduce traffic congestion, provide children with safe routes to school, and give communities more affordable transportation and storm water management options. So this is a quote from Senator Cardin. It says, safer outdoors mean the local hiking and biking trails are more vital to local communities than ever. It goes on to say, I'm proud to partner with Senator Wicker to strengthen the Transportation Alternatives Program and further empower local leaders with the resources to enhance their neighborhoods, promote economic development, and improve quality of life and public health. So that was Senate Bill 614. Senate Bill 615. Senate Bill 615, and I'll be over to the Clubhouse space in about 10 minutes. Clubhouse, I am coming your way. Thank you for riding with me. YouTube, I see you. Senate Bill 615. This is the Trans-Sahara Counterterrorism Partnership Program of 2021. This is Senator Menendez, Robert Menendez, Democrat out of New Jersey. 615 Trans-Sahara Counterterrorism Partnership Act program. It says this bill provides statutory authority for the Trans-Sahara Counterterrorism Partnership Program. It's an interagency program launched in 2005 to partner with countries in the Sahel and Maghreb Maghreb region, I butchered that, y'all, regions of Africa, to counter terrorism and violent extremism. So this is Senator Menendez, Robert Menendez. He's a Democrat out of New Jersey. Senate Bill 616. Senate Bill 616 is the Inter-American Development Bank General Capital Increase Act of 2021. So this is the Inter-American Development Bank General Capital Increase Act of 2021. This was a little interesting to me. So this is Senator Menendez again, Democrat out of New Jersey. I looked this one up because I wanted to understand more about this bank. So it says this legislation authorizes the 10th general capital increase for the Inter-American Development Bank, which I didn't even know we had an Inter-American Development Bank. It says the hemisphere's leading international financial institution. At a moment when countries in the region have suffered from the widespread economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and devastating hurricanes, the bill highlights that the U.S. Congress is leading efforts to prioritize and secure an IDB capital increase. So this bank wants a capital increase. It says the legislation would increase the IDB's, which is the bank's, annual lending to $20 billion and strengthen its ability to lead financial recovery efforts across Latin America and the Caribbean. So as a part of the capital increase, the bill encourages the creation of the IDB's first environmental fund and lending facility. It's a groundbreaking initiative that would position the bank to expand efforts to improve environmental sustainability and disaster preparedness in the hemisphere. So we have a bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, that lends money across Latin America and the Caribbean. Interesting. Keeping up with Congress, y'all. This stuff we don't know. We don't know. Thank you, family. Thank you. And very informative. Thank you for putting in that time and work. Thank you. Thank you. I see you. Thank you over in YouTube. Thank you. Senate Bill 617. Senate Bill 617. This is the Death Tax Repeal Act of 2021. Senator Thune, John Thune, Republican out of South Dakota, the death tax. The death tax. It says this bill repeals the estate and generation skipping transfer taxes. It also makes conforming amendments related to the gift tax. So I did look this one up too. It says this legislation is to permanently repeal the federal estate tax, more commonly known as the death tax. Thune's bill, the Death Tax Repeal Act of 2021, would finally end this purely punitive tax that has the potential to hit family-run farms, ranches, and businesses as a result of the owner's death. This is a quote from Thune. He says, I fought hard to repeal the onerous and unfair death tax since I came to Washington, including by leading the effort in 2017 to protect more farm and ranch families from it. So see, some of these legislators have a signature, right? This is why it's so important for us to pay attention and listen and keep up with Congress. This man has been working on this ever since he got to Washington to repeal the death tax. So some of these senators, they were sent there and they have a signature. They know, they're doing what they do. Senator Thune, senator out of South Dakota. Senate Bill 618, Senate Bill 618, Universal Giving Pandemic Response and Recovery Act, the Universal Giving Pandemic Response and Recovery Act. This is Senator Lankford, James Lankford. He's a Republican out of Oklahoma. So this bill allows individual taxpayers who do not otherwise itemize their tax deductions a deduction in taxable years beginning in 2021 or 2022 for charitable contributions. It says the deduction is limited to 1/3 of the standard deduction allowed to such taxpayers. So this is the Universal Giving Pandemic Response and Recovery Act. This is Republican Senator James Lankford, Senate Bill 618. Just a couple more, and I'm coming over to the clubhouse space in about 4 minutes, family. I see you. Thank you for joining me today for Keeping Up with Congress. Senate Bill 619. Senate Bill 619 is Defending Our Defenders Act. Defending Our Defenders Act. Found this one to be interesting. Senator Cotton, Tom Cotton, he's a Republican out of Arkansas. Look this one up. It says, under the Defending Our Defenders Act, a cop killer could receive a life sentence or the death penalty if certain aggravating factors are met, including intent to ambush a police officer, prior statements advocating or promoting violence against law enforcement, participation or affiliation with anarchists or other violence-promoting groups, prior threats against law enforcement, or if the murder occurred during organized anti-law enforcement activity. So this is the Defending Our Defenders Act, Senate Bill 619, Senator Cotton. Pay attention, y'all. It goes on to say, I actually went into the text on this one. It says to make murder of a federal, state, or local law enforcement officer a crime punishable by life in prison or death. Senate Bill 619. And this will be our last one for the afternoon. Senate Bill 620. Senate Bill 620. This is Senator Fisher. Deb Fisher is a Republican out of, I have to look at my little Nebraska, NE. I have to look at my little list, y'all. Sometimes I can't remember these abbreviations, y'all. I like to get it right. Yeah, I got it right. Nebraska. Republican out of Nebraska. Keep Telehealth Options Act of 2021. Keep Telehealth Options Act of 2021. This bill requires certain agencies to report on the availability and effects of expanded telehealth services under Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Insurance Program, which is CHIP, during the public health emergency relating to COVID-19. So this is the Keep Telehealth Options Act of 2021, which stands for knowing the efficiency and efficacy of Permanent Telehealth Options Act of 2021. So telehealth is here to stay, which I think it's important, and it should be. It should be to have options to speak with your healthcare provider that includes not going into the office. So yeah, telehealth is definitely here to stay. Senator Fisher, Republican out of Nebraska. So we are just a minute and a half away from the half hour. I'm going to come over to the clubhouse space. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, y'all. I want to thank you for joining me for Keeping Up with Congress. I'm here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 5:30, right here on YouTube. And then I come over to the clubhouse space and we chop it up over there. So I just want to say thank you for joining me. If you have not gone to the website, I'm passing the collection plate, y'all. Please keep donating. Please do what you can, when you can, as often as you can. We have a race to the United States Senate that we have to win. We have to win. I didn't take a position, y'all, before Friday on the mandates, but now that we're here and this is now, I'm going to be very vocal about my opposition to these mandates. Getting a vaccine, I believe, is a personal choice. And now that Biden has mandated this and all these good, quote unquote, government jobs, these good government jobs that people have been working in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, their jobs are being threatened. Now they're hanging their livelihood, being able to feed their families, hanging that over their head with whether or not they decide to take that vaccine. So I'm in direct opposition of the mandates. I believe this is a personal choice, and your girl is going to get very vocal. This is not about party politics. This is about what America is supposed to stand for. So I am Tamara Johnson Shealey. Go to the website, donate, be a part of the movement, because this is our movement. We're going to change this country. Reparations will make America great. I will see you guys tomorrow right back here for Keeping Up with Congress. Thank you for joining me. I'm coming, Clubhouse. Give me just a minute. Thank you for tuning in for Keeping Up with Congress. I am Tamara Johnson Shealey, your candidate for the United States Senate. I'm a progressive Democrat that believes that reparations will make America great. It is time that we bridge the divide in this country. Please go to the website. That's tamara4georgia.com. www.tamara, Tamara, Georgia spelled out.com. Please join me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here for Keeping Up with Congress.